My wife, 38F, cheated on me, 38M. I suspected for too long and found proof on November 18th. I began dating my wife in 2000, and we married in 2005. In 2010, our son was born. 13-year partnership, 8-year marriage, and 3.5-year-old kid. We both have a large family in the area and strong support networks for babysitting. Divorce would necessitate the selling of our home as well as the relocation of her parents, that rent a second house from us. I would keep that home, but my wife would sell the one we now reside in. These topics were addressed and, on a broad scale, agreed upon a few weeks ago. I've thought for about a year that my wife was having an emotional affair with one of her coworkers. I queried her about it many times, every several days at the end, and even inquired whether she had with him. Everything was denied. She said he was a buddy, even showing me images of him and his family, telling me where he worked, same industry, different company, and filling me in on some of their talks. She was having so much fun with it that I began calling this person her boyfriend. We had supper with her folks on November 17th, and he was brought up in the most casual of ways. My wife paused for 5 seconds longer than usual in her reply to her parents, and I knew something was wrong. I grabbed our family laptop the following morning and looked through her iPhone backups for proof. She had been with him since early September and had a full-fledged affair with him since early October. When I challenged her about it, she came clean, confessing to everything, including a one-night encounter with the man during a business conference in February 2013. So, in a nutshell, there was a one-night stand in February 2013, in September 2013, and a dozen or so encounters in October/November 2013. The last tidbit was a 3-day honeymoon, his words, at a business conference in October. They had particular intentions to continue this until February 2014, when they would meet at the same conference where they had met a year earlier. They had both agreed, in writing, before I found them, that it would stop there. I had my wife receive STD testing, which came out negative, and she will follow up in 6 months. During the affair, she and I were sleeping together and have continued to do so since. What about the other guy? 42 years old, reasonably prosperous, married with 3 children, and lives in the same town as us. I've already run across him while shopping. Point is, we live close together and will sometimes run into one other. His wife, 42, who does not work, is unaware of the affair. My wife appeared to imply that if his wife found out, she would certainly go nuts and take him to the cleaners. My wife and I are in treatment, both couples and individual, and are still deciding whether or not to remain together. She's 50-50 at this point, and I'm 25-75 or 75-25 depending on the day. We are quite respectful to one another, and I feel we still have mutual affection for each other. As one would expect, there is a tremendous lot of anguish, distrust, tension, bitterness, and a slew of other feelings. I feel that the relationship can be preserved if both of us are willing to put up a significant amount of work. One problem is that I'm not sure either of us will be able to withstand the treatment for months or years at a time. In our conversations, we've discussed some of the reasons for her actions and some of the issues that we both have in our relationship. Those are things that we are working on, and I think that it will take a long time. Between now and then, I'm preoccupied with the following concerns. I feel obligated to notify his wife about this development. I think it would be morally proper, and I would experience a sense of satisfaction in putting right what I consider to have been an injustice. Take this as an example of my way of retaliation against him. The problem is that doing so might have negative consequences for both his and my professional lives. Consequently, it is possible that it will have a detrimental effect on me. I'm 99.9% convinced I won't be able to tell my wife, but I can't stop thinking about how I may notify her while maintaining plausible deniability in the process. My wife and I are discussing our divorcing, and I am so angry right now that I am 99.9% sure I will add him to his wife if we divorce. Note aforementioned cleaner's comment. Trust. The fact that my wife is no longer sleeping or socializing with this guy gives me great comfort. I have plenty of proof that she is on the mend, not to mention that I still have the iPhone backups from when she was injured, complete with mutually photos and texts. If I caught them doing anything else, it would be the end of the game as we know it. He stands to lose a great deal if I go public with this. To be fair, my wife did sneak about with impunity for a few months, and as a result, I'm dealing with some basic "who the is this person" difficulties with the person I'm married to. Basically, until I can independently verify her claims, I assume everything she says is a fabrication. What strategies have other people used to rebuild their confidence? This is my little one. Given that he is just 3.5 years old, he will have no recollection of his mother and father's marriage if she and I separate right away. After a year, this will no longer be the case. He is now completely unaware of our trouble since, for the most part, we have kept our composure while he has been in the house. But I'm certain that he can sense the tension that exists between us. I'm quite sure both she and I are more short with him than we are with anybody else. There isn't anybody else in the group who has been in a similar situation with children who are around the same age as the youngsters in question. What steps did you take to deal with the circumstance, and how did things turn out for your children? In whom should I place my trust? Her family, including her parents, sister, and a close friend, have all been notified. I've informed a few out-of-town friends about it, and they've all agreed with me. For the most part, we've kept this information hidden from our local friends, colleagues, and other acquaintances. A part of me wants to stand on a metaphorical mountaintop and tell everyone what I've discovered. I'm not sure whether I want that ghost to follow us about in public for the rest of our lives, even if we manage to get through this ordeal successfully. Story 2. My boyfriend doesn't think he did, but have I been cheated on? It has been at least 3 years since my partner and I began dating. I noticed his old phone on a shelf near his bed a few weeks ago and immediately recognized it as his. He upgraded to a new phone about a year ago. I hadn't seen his old phone in about a year, so it struck me as odd that it had returned after such a lengthy period of absence. Although I had that morsel of knowledge saved in my mind, I chose not to share it with anybody else. And he always has his new phone in his pocket, wherever he goes in the house. I'm going to the restroom. I'm going to go to the kitchen right now. I've even caught him using it while showering on a couple of occasions. As an added bonus, if I wake up and notice him on his phone or go into a room, he immediately returns to the home screen and puts his phone down. These are only a few of the things that I, or anybody else, noticed while living with him that we felt were unique, but I never inquired as to why they were so unusual. With all of this background knowledge in mind, I want to hear your perspectives on what transpired after this point. As a result, my husband decided to go shopping today while I washed the dishes, and I was intrigued, so I went in search of his old phone, which had occurred to me as a possibility. It was found and opened by me. And the first thing I did was go to his gallery and look around. My findings were a bit upsetting to say the least. He had captured the screen of the new phone on the old phone and used it to save Snapchat stories of beautiful women. I had no idea who they were, but the films showed them to be naked and having a good time, flashing their boobs. I was intrigued. You are well aware of the situation. What a girlfriend sees on her man's phone, no matter how attractive the other girls are, isn't exactly what she wants to see. In the end, when he returned home, I confronted him, and he said that this woman had been his first girlfriend, and that she had simply sent him those private recordings. I inquired as to why he had kept them safe. He said that he didn't know what he was talking about. He also admitted that he would return a photograph. It was also my intention to find out more about the other girls I'd seen in other screenshotted images taken on the prior phone. He said that he had never met them before. Save the images, he said at the time, referring to his previous attitude. There isn't a logical reason for this. I have a question for all of you, is this considered cheating? In particular, the part about him filming a woman he dated about a decade ago, naked and showing off every inch of her body to my boyfriend, which I found very amusing. After that, he responded with a photograph. I'm not sure what else they communicated to one another since it was all done over Snapchat. But it just does not sit well with me, and I am left feeling injured and, frankly, as if he cheated, even if that was not the case in real life, as a result. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I'm a little confused and have a lot of emotions racing through my brain right now. His constant possession of his phone makes me question if I can put my confidence in him. Is it okay for him to view porn on Pornhub? But what happens if an ex-girlfriend sends him actual material? Isn't it a kind of cheating? Right now, I'm completely baffled by everything. Any advice or viewpoint from a male standpoint would be much appreciated.